Welcome to a special DRT, debt refusion theory. We're gonna discuss the DRT. The debt refusion theory is my financial theory, which of course has to be implemented. And first and foremost, I want to say that I will to buy my anonymous friend a house. Look at those beautiful twin flowers there. I love those flowers, the thick ones. They're so nice. And going back home from the mountain and finishing my workout is my no spend any money day. And gotta watch the branches. See that little branch there? That branch. We have branches here that fall because the trees are not that healthy. So of course, gotta commence with my gratitude. Grateful, thankful that my rent's paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got Hava at home for dessert, got food, and paid my Netflix, paid internet, and actually Netflix I gotta give my anonymous friend money. $10, $10, but I paid my internet, paid my electricity bill, paid my rent, paid my electricity bill. So that's why we gotta rock and roll it for that. And I gotta recommend this book, A Supportive and Practical Guide for anyone with Asperger's syndrome, Asperger's from the inside out, because I've come to terms with my neurological mental divergent condition, AS, also known as high functioning or higher functioning autism, ASD level 1, and has been a tough journey for the past more than 11 years. Got jobs, lost my jobs, lost my friends, made new friends, lost the new friends, and it takes patience. I'm part of the small minority of the population, less than 1% of the population, and as a North American, in North America, less than 1% have AS, so I always gotta do a little mention of this specific neurological mental divergent condition which I have, which is not a disease, it's not an illness, it's just something that took me years and years and years to come to terms with, as I fully embrace it today. In parentheses, my DD, my disorder and disability, yes, I have it, but the other parentheses is SS, the special skills. So the DD, the disorder and disability, is superseded to the positive side by the other parentheses, which contains the SS, which stands for special skills, and thus, because of my special interest, because Aspiesque, we have people AS, or high-functioning autism, we have special interests, and most of my hours a day are engaged in different capacities by learning, by education, by action, by analysis, by philosophizing. My special interest is geopolitics and rock and roll, and of course, when you learn geopolitics, you have to have a little knowledge about economics, finance, and commerce, and thus the paradox over many years and years and years is important for me to also make a notation and declare a truth, because I have the proof for even before Uncle Connie, in the absence of the king, because Canada, we should have been a republic on the 1st of January, the year 2000, made the declaration that, of course, a Davos speech in French, I'm going to quote him verbatim per verbatim in French, and Uncle Connie stated that, of course, I love those flowers, they're beautiful. That's not what Uncle Connie said, that's what I said here in the march back to my headquarters, to the Dragon's Lair, but Uncle Connie said in Davos that this, he said in French, c'est la fin d'une fiction agréable et le début d'une réalité brutale. C'est la fin d'une fiction agréable et le début d'une réalité brutale. So that's translated as, it is the end of a pleasant / agreeable fiction and the beginning of a brutal reality. So before Uncle Connie, Davos, made that declaration. Look at that snake. See, looks like a cobra there, anaconda. That in 2019 in October, I have predicted what's been happening in the past years, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and the general overall geopolitical concordia, geopolitical discords, and geopolitical conflicts, and basically World War III in many ways, right? Because now the Iran conflict has restarted. So we might see gas skyrocket. Of course. We might see gas skyrocket in the coming days again. And of course, all that is, of course, to say that it is the fundamentals, of course, of that appellation and the concorded, of course, where we have to be concorded about that is the dynamic of my geopolitical my geopolitical event, or the geopolitical declarations that I'm going to make that actually are true, because I have the proof. Hey, look at these beautiful flowers again. I predicted what's happening now. So basically, fundamentally, that's to understand that, of course, the DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, is also in concordant, of course, to be implemented. And of course, the concordant to be implemented is something which, of course, we have to implement because it's also an emergency. So we have to implement the debt refusion theory. The debt refusion theory, DRT, is, of course, in concordant, and it integrates the MIT, the monetary integration theory. So as I discuss it, you have to keep in mind, and because of the mass public-private partnership indebtedness and financial crisis, we have to implement. And of course, its implementation is always with a relationship, of course, to what it is. So turn your heads left and right before you cross the street, and listen carefully, perhaps tries to listen to these last 3.5 minutes. So, of course, we're going to have to take all the public and the private debt. So we're going to take all the public and the private debt, and of course, we're going to convert it. So my $10,000 debt, I have a $10,000 debt to the Bank of Canada. Nice flowers, really nice. I have a public-private debt, all the public-private debt, we're gonna take it all, so we're gonna convert it. My $10,000, of course, we're gonna convert my $10,000 to US dollars. My $10,000 into US dollar, we're gonna add first all the public-private debt of Canada coast to coast, we're gonna add it. We're going to add it, of course, and that will be the addition. And that addition, of course, which will be in concordant for the U.S. public-private debt, we'll also have to add it together. So we're going to do and implement the debt refusion theory, which again integrates the MIT, the monetary integration theory, which was integrated or established in the European Union. So I'm just going to stay on the side here for fellow citizens to cross safely. So the MIT, the monetary integration theory, is the financial theory, of course, which was implemented in the European Union, right? So the MIT was, of course, the monetary integration theory was a financial theory which was implemented in the European Union, right? The MIT successfully in the 90s. So we're going to take all the public-private debt of Canada, United States, but this can be expanded. We're going to fuse the central bank and the Federal Reserve into the Imperial Central Bank. We're going to create the UE, U.Universal, U.Exchange, U.UE, which is going to have the value of the US dollar. So all the public-private debt and the money circulation will be refused. We're going to fuse the central banks because this can be expanded transnationally to include the BIS, Bank of International Settlements. So the BIS, Bank of International Settlements, can be included. We're going to create the UE, U.Universal, E.Exchange, U.UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, aka the imperial dollar, which is going to be in concordant to, of course, all the other manifestations, of course, which are going to be supplanted. And that, of course, supplanting is going to be, of course, in that relationship where we're going to mass finance fitness, mass finance the rebuilding of the infrastructure, create the Dragon Army, the Dancing Goddess Army. So this will enable us to do great mass works for the public-private partners. We're going to fuse their